9.2 day 2 notes. We're going to cover the surface area of cylinders. So first let's talk about let's review the surface area of prisms. So remember, you get to choose what your base is for a rectangular prism. So in this case, I'm going to choose 4 times 6. So 4 times 6 is 24. So remember, 2 times big B plus P times H. So the perimeter of my base, I'm going to add the 4 sides together. 4 plus 6 plus 4 plus 6 is 20. And the height of my prism is the distance between the two bases, which is 9. So 2 times 24 is 48. 20 times 9 is not equals 180. And so we get 228 feet squared. Triangular prism. So again, 2 times big B plus P times H. Remember, the P times 8 part is the lateral area. So our lateral area in this case is 180 feet squared, if I were to ask that. So the area of my base is the area of the triangle. And the area of the triangle is base times height divided by 2. So the base and the height of the triangle, they're two sides that make up the 90-degree angle. In this case, 8 and 6. So 8 times 6 is 48. 48 divided by 2 is an area of 24. So remember, for triangles, you need to divide by 2. And then the perimeter of the base is 8 plus 6 plus 10. And that's 24. And the height of the prism is the distance between the two bases, which is 10. So we have 48 plus 240, which is 288 centimeters squared. Remember, surface area always has squared units. So like I said, 228, 288. So that's review from what we did in 9.2 day 1. So now day 2, we're going to talk about the surface area of cylinders. So like a can of soup is an example of a cylinder. Maybe a pop can is pretty much a cylinder. So in a cylinder, a cylinder is a solid with 2 congruent circular bases that lie in parallel planes. So here, our circles are the bases because they're parallel and congruent. So we have the radius of a cylinder, which is just the radius of the base. And we have the height of the cylinder, which is the perpendicular distance between the bases. So again, the height is the distance between the bases. And it just always makes a 90-degree angle. You wouldn't measure the height if you were slanted, right? You always measure your height when you're straight up and down. So the area of a base of a cylinder, well, our base is a circle, and the area of a circle is pi r squared. So we just did that in chapter 8. The lateral area, remember, that's the area of everything but the bases. So the lateral area, when you actually draw a net of a cylinder, this is what it looks like. And the lateral area ends up being a rectangle. So we do length times width. Well, what is the length and width of this rectangle? This is the height. So that's the height of the cylinder. And then this is, when you unravel this or, unfold it, that is the circumference of the circle, and that's actually how long this rectangle is. And if you remember, the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. So the area of this lateral area is 2, we'll get a different color, 2 pi r times the height. So what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 times the area of the base, which in our case is a circle, so 2 times pi r squared, and then we're going to add the lateral area, and that gives us the formula for the surface area of a cylinder. So again, 2 pi r squared, and then plus 2 pi rh. So we're plugging in 2 things, r and h. So find the surface area of the cylinder, round answers to the nearest hundredth. So that's 2 decimal places. So 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. So let's plug in r. The radius of our circle is 3 feet. And the height of our prism, or nope, sorry, not our prism, the height of our cylinder is 4. So we're just going to type that in our calculator in one step. I actually think it's easiest to use the pi button on your calculator. I'd much rather have you use that than using 3.14 and rounding. It's just more exact when you use the pi button. So I'm going to show you how to use that. All right. So 2, and then here's the pi button. You're going to hit second, and here it is. So second, so there's pi. 2 pi times 3 squared. This is the easiest button to use to square something. Plus 2 pi times 3 times 4. So we get 131 point, we want 2 decimal places. So we have to look one farther, and the 6 is going to round the 4 up to a 5. So 131.95 feet squared. Again, it's still area, surface area, so make sure your units are squared. Sometimes they'll give you the diameter instead of the radius. So remember, radius is half the diameter, which means r equals 6. Half of 12 means the radius is 6. So let's use our formula and plug in r and h. So 2 times pi times r squared plus 2 times pi times r times h. So our radius, like we just said, is 6. And the height of our cylinder is the distance between the two bases, which is 10. So we'll plug that in for h. So we just type that in our calculator. 2 pi times r squared plus 2 pi times r times h. Okay, you guys see I kind of mixed using the times button and parentheses. It doesn't matter. Parentheses mean multiplication, so it's really up to you. So nearest hundredth, so we look at 3 decimal places. The 5 is going to round the 8 up to a 9. So 603.19 feet squared. About how much plastic is used to make a straw that has a diameter of 5 millimeters. So if the diameter is 5 millimeters, then the radius is half of that. So 5 divided by 2, which is 2.5 millimeters for the radius. And a height of 195. So again, we're just going to plug that into our formula. So our formula is 2 times pi times r squared plus 2 times pi times r times h. So let's type that in our calculator. 2 times pi times 2.5 squared plus 2 times pi times 2.5 times 195. So 3,102.32. Millimeters squared. Yep. So that's how much plastic they would have to use for the straw. So I want you to pause it, try this one, and when you're done, unpause it and you can check the answer. All right, so 2 pi r squared, so our radius is 3 and our height's 5, plus 2 times pi times r times h. So when you plug that in, you get 150.72 inches squared. Okay, I guess I'll go over this number 2 on the homework for tonight. I don't know that you've seen the height of a prism written like this before. So 2 times big B plus P times H. So when you're finding the area of a triangle, remember it's base times height divided by 2. And to identify the base and the height of this triangle, you want to look what two sides form the 90-degree angle. So the height of our triangle is 6.7, and the base of our triangle is 12. So this would be 12 times 6.7 divided by 2, and that's what big B is. That's going to give you the area of the base of the triangle. So that's how you can identify the base and the height of a triangle, is to always look for the two sides that form the 90-degree angle. And then 9 is the height of the prism, so that's what you're going to plug in for H here.